So for anyone who's here now, this is the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'll cut the stream. But I was sort of talking about, prompted by some people talking about trying to break into streaming. I was talking about my path in breaking into games media, trying to reassure people that it's a very long journey, and it's a thoroughly non-linear journey. But it kind of made me wistful for the past, and it reminded me of this, which is sort of the first thing that I did that really dedicated me towards pursuing games media as opposed to games development. Before this, I had written some reviews for my college paper. And I wonder if those are around. They are. No, wait, are they? No, they're not. These are... I think there was a hard drive crash. I had a hard drive crash, like, in my sophomore year, and I think I lost my writing from before that. So unfortunately, because it was Deus Ex 2, I think, that I reviewed for the college paper and a couple of other games. But I don't think I have that. Oh man, this is a little further up in the timeline, but okay. So junior year of college, I decided I wanted to start planting the seeds to get into games media. And there was a website that was forming from the Something Awful community called Game Chew. Game Chew. Hop, chop, chop, chop. And I submitted this as like my application, because at the time I was trying to catch up on some old games, like forever backlog. So in this was like 2005? I had played through Grandia 1, which was a PlayStation... Well, the review will tell the tale. But this is what I wrote to submit to get on staff. It was a volunteer website, so it didn't matter. But they still wanted a writing sample submitted, so I wrote this and submitted it. And here it is, Grandia. Oh boy. Grandia exists for those of us who fondly remember our childhood adventures. That's the wrong use of a semicolon. Donning helmets, cooking pots, mystical swords, good long sticks, and slaying dragons, the family dog. Well... that intro implies that I chase the dog around hitting it with a stick, so let's not do that. Also, double space, old school. Yeah, not the dog, right? But I was already finding my style here, which was open the review with some kind of endearing anecdote or joke or just something that's not, Grandia is a video game set in a fantasy realm of Elementia. I still wanted to start writing in a way that was a little more human and a little more approachable. And I remember that. So it's interesting to see that, because I definitely formed that into more of a cohesive style later. Double space was still the norm back then. Read it? No, it's commentary. It's the point. Grandia is the quintessential adventure story. Wow, I was using quintessential back then. It was meant to be. And in that respect, it doesn't reinvent the wheel in terms of theme and setting, but it does present one hell of a good wheel. Not a bad line. In the far distant past, because that's where stories of this sort always start, I can't tell that I am writing a little nerdy. It's a little pinky out intellectual. Stories of this sort. There are certain phrases that make you sound like a dork, and that's one that I would be like, don't talk. No one talks like this. So write like you talk. Anyway. Sorry, I'm slipping back into editor mode. Points for using Times New Roman. It was the only font back then. You would have used quintessential in high school? I would have, yeah. So that's the irony, is most people when they write, they use bigger words than they would say. I actually did say those words, but that doesn't help the writing. Let's see here. An advanced race called the Icarians thrived on the planet. Which planet? That's a little confusing. After building many great structures and harnessing crazy mystical powers, they suddenly fell into extinction for unknown reasons. Thus, the discovery of sliced bread fell into myth and lore. So I'm already trying to pepper some little jokes in there, trying to make it a little... All right, I'm gonna put on some video game music here. There we go. Okay, Now, in present day, the militaristic Garlisle forces under command of General Bale seek to unearth the secrets of the Icarians in the ruins left behind. With a name like Bale, no, that's actually correct. It's not hard to guess who the villain of the story will turn out to be. A little awkward phrasing, but another, slight jokey joke. The game opens in the pleasant port town of Parm. Can't tell if I think I do like alliteration, so I think I did that on purpose. Justin, who can only be described as plucky, comma should be inside the quote, aspires to be a great adventurer just like his dad. Through some introductory sequences, the game introduces his childhood friend, Sue, and her adorable animal companion, Puffy. Should be another comma there. Together, they set out on a grand adventure involving mysterious ruins, ancient civilizations, spirit stones, crazy party members, and even the power of the planet. This all sounds familiar. It is. Even so, Grandia still has its own unique charm. The story presents several touching moments, even though some of the supporting characters can be rather one-dimensional. So, like, what I like about this is it's already speaking from a base of knowledge and relating to the knowledge of the reader, being like, you've heard this before. I wish more writing would do that now. Not a whole lot of reviews respect the knowledge and the intellect of the reader, which is something that gets my goat a little bit. Grandia's real fun comes from its battle system, which introduces some new ideas to the RPG scene. Enemies can be seen roaming around outside of battle. In Earthbound-esque fashion, the party can get the first attack by jumping them from behind and vice versa, so watch out. This reads a little bit like the watch out thing, like you don't need to give like gameplay tips to the reader. That's not why they're here. So that kind of falls, but I do like referencing other games, but also I'll cram Earthbound references into anything, so. A series where you review your old writing in order to help others learn writing could be cool. Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if this is interesting or not. The battle system revolves around an IP initiative point bar. Yeah, all right. Upon which the party members and all the enemies have icons representing their state of readiness. That's wordy and awkward. I could probably reword that, but there are two marked points on this bar, command and action. As time passes, these icons move right along the bar until they hit the point that they can be assigned a command. Then when their icon hits the action mark, they may execute the command. I don't know that I necessarily need to... I always liked spelling the mechanics out. But there's better ways to do it. That was another thing that always annoyed me about game reviews. They would pass judgment on the game's mechanics, but not describe any of them. A series where you re-review old games that you wrote about in the past and compare. Maybe that requires playing the game again, and that's where the time would get prohibitive. Let's see. Actions include combo attack, critical attack, cast magic, defend, the standard fare. Again, wrong use of wait. Actually, if there was an and there, no, that would still not work. Semicolon. That should be like an M dash or something. Anyway, I really wanted to use semicolons, but I did not know the rules yet. Semicolons are like... Semicolons are... What am I thinking of? Semicolons are the drift of punctuation. It's the coolest thing you can do, but you have to do it right. Combo attacks hit twice, while critical attacks take longer to do. While critical attacks take longer to do, hit once and do twice as much damage. Alright. The mathematically inclined might wonder why there are separate attacks if they do the same amount of damage. Here's where a bit of strategy comes in. After a character or monster has been hit, they become stunned for a short time, stopping their movement along the action bar. Combo attacks hit twice, stunning the enemy for twice as long. But if the enemy is waiting to execute a command, between command and action on the IP bar, a critical attack will cancel their action, returning them to the left side of the bar. So... the description of the bar is not necessarily needed here, but this is giving me an idea of the actual strategy needed to play the combat system. So, I think that's actually pretty... I think the intent there is right, even if the wording is a little intense. Oh, but there's more to this whole strategy thing. Both players and monsters can be knocked out of this waiting phase, which means care needs to be taken when and where characters use their time-consuming spells or skills. Okay, so it works both ways. That's kind of cool. Thus, this system makes a lot of the boss battles exceedingly easy, though. With a party of 4, a boss can be stunned for the majority of the battle. Most of the bosses have separate action bar entries to try and prevent this from happening, but many spells hit more than one enemy, effectively freezing the boss on the action bar for most of the battle. In fact, I was able to beat a few bosses without their even getting an action. it's still pretty pedantic, but like already, I don't know. Chefs always like their own cooking, right? At least we hope they do. But this is the exact thing that used to annoy me about games, is they would say the battle system's broken because you can just beat bosses without getting hit. And then I'd be like, why? Like, I don't know anything about the way you played the game. So your like appraisal is relatively useless to me. So what I wanted to do early in reviews is say, like, I will give a judgment, but I will explain why I arrived to that judgment in ways that hopefully people who haven't even played the game can understand. That was my intent. I think I'm mostly doing it. This thing is the exact opposite. Oh, never mind. Really? Chefs don't like their own cooking? Well, never mind then. I like my own cooking, but I'm not a chef, so. I guess where I pulled that phrase from is I think there was a bit that Donald Glover did about listening to his own music. Artists are just sensitive about their own shit. Oh, okay. I guess I'm not an artist then. I don't know. Maybe I'm too particular about reviews, but I don't know that I've ever found anyone that reviews games better than I think I do. But that's just for me and what I love about it. Or what I like about them. Okay, let's get back into it. The leveling system is fantastic, elevating the game from good to great. Awkward wording, but again. Aside from the general character level that gains general experience with every fight, every skill has a level as well. Each weapon and magic element gains experience with use. Characters learn new spells and skills when they hit preset levels with various combinations of weapons and magic. Each skill gives them a stat bonus every time it levels up as well, giving a large amount of stat control to the player. This gives short-term goals of development for every character. I constantly check my moves list for my characters, seeing which next skill or spell I would work towards. I actually looked forward to and enjoyed the battles in Grandia. Well, that is up until the skills max out. The battles become more tedious at that point, accentuating what a difference the skill system makes to the game. This doesn't happen until the end of the game, though. Wow, I actually do remember that. Hey, AJ Savoring. It's good to see you again. Oh, Kaylee, it's good to see you. Having not played the game, I understand the system, so I'd say you did a pretty good job of explaining things. I think I proofread this like 3 or 4 times. Okay. The experience system has some hitches. The game grants experience based on how many different targets a particular attack or spell hits. Oh shit, F-Zero? Fuck yeah. If someone attacks 2 different monsters with a sword and only hits one with a fire spell, they'll get twice as much sword experience. This makes leveling some magic a real problem, given that some start with spells that only target one enemy or party member. This is compounded by the fact that magic takes much longer to cast and watch than a simple fight command. A good chunk of my total game time was spent watching magic cast animations. Grandia isn't the worst culprit of long magic sequences by far, but they can get a little old around the 400th time. Yeah, that was a big PlayStation 1 RPG thing. I'm gonna show you all the polygonal explosions. Good shit. Regardless, Grandia's battle system is one of the most enjoyable I've played with, and helps the gameplay immensely. On the visual front, Grandia matches its fantasy shtick. Shtick? Vibrant environments seamlessly enhance this feel. I hate that word, seamlessly. I think I was still at this point, like in that process where I was reading a lot of reviews, and so those words get stuck in your head and then you use them again. There's a lot of recycled vocabulary in reviews, which I think kind of paints to the lack of writing quality that goes into them, but whatever. The characters are 2D sprites in 3D environments. Usually this combination looks bizarre, but Grandia pulls it off well. The sprite work is above average, but there's better. It's kind of a useless statement. It requires the reader to know what the average looks like. But I guess qualifying visuals can be a little difficult. Some of the environments have little interactive bits as well. Barrels that wobble as you walk next to them, brooms that fall over. It's a neat little effect. That's nice. So that's like phrasing that's... Get out of here, Mass Effect 3. I guess I gotta wait for it. There's no skip. This ain't no Spotify. So hard on yourself? Oh, I'm being an editor. Like I said, I spent years editing. There's no time for like being soft about things. God, Mass 3 is so dumb. Anyway, sorry. Is this the Clint Mansell track? Remember how they got him for one track? And it wasn't even that good. Missed watching your streams, but I'm happy to finally be able to catch one. Hey, I'm glad you got one too. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be streaming for too much longer, but I'm still glad. So glad you caught it. All right, let's keep going. Musically, Grandia is adequate, though I won't be humming the battle theme anytime soon. Most of the music in the game was nice to listen to, but not very memorable. The voice acting, however, caused my TV to be muted more than a few times. The main characters have passable voice acting, because some of the other ones, Rap, I'm Looking at You, have awkward, stilted voices. Oh, I'm sorry, Compact Lake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so dismissive of this particular track or Mass Effect 3 music in general. I'm still bitter, still. But not because of the ending. Wait, yeah. Thank you, Shafes. Yeah, it's less the score and just the game itself. Well, but I need to let that shit go. For some reason, and this is common with a lot of PSX voice acting, the voice actors talk far too slow to be natural. While it doesn't ruin the game by any stretch, it's certainly not pleasant to sit through at times. Yeah, I never understood that. That was totally a thing. Voice actors spoke real fucking slow. All the time. Like, very obviously not speaking conversationally. That was just the performances they gave. I have no idea. While it doesn't ruin the game by any stretch, it's certainly not pleasant to sit through at times. This is understandable, though, since most localization teams pay voice actors in beans and promotional t-shirts. I think that was true at the time. That's kind of a funny line. I like the idea of somebody going into a studio and getting a can of beans and a t-shirt on the way out, and that's it. There was that one game with terribly slow voice acting. I can probably describe a few of them. I don't know. Grandia is also lengthy by most standards. I cleared the game at 47 hours and change. Given that most RPGs take 25 hours to complete, I guess in the PlayStation 1 days? Yeah, 25 to 30. May have been right. Oh, is this? No, this is Lunar 2. Oh, Rhapsody? Is that the slow talking game? I never played that one. I owned it for a while. It's like, I'm gonna play this, and then I just never did. There are even secret dungeons to explore and hidden skills to unlock beyond that. Grandia has a lot of heart. It may not be the most progressive of games, but it doesn't need to be. Grandia is a fantastic fantasy adventure deserving a place with the RPG greats. Let me think. What do I like and what do I not like? I liked the breakdown of the combat system. I feel like I understand how that system works. I feel like as an RPG player, even years on, I'm like, that actually sounds like a pretty cool system. That's pretty valuable. I feel like music and visuals didn't give me a whole lot because it was just kind of loose qualitative statements. Average. This music is really distracting. I think it spent a little too long. Focusing on story and tone. It didn't talk at all about like character interactions, which I assume in an RPG would take up a fair amount of the story. I mean, it talked about how the voice acting was a little rough, but it didn't really talk about the quality of the writing or the quality of the character interactions, aside from, again, just saying that the characters are generic, so one is left to assume that their interactions are probably also generic, but pleasing. But still, didn't say anything, and that probably deserved to touch on. I like how... This is going to be weird, but I like how short the paragraphs are. I'm surprised that even... I was still pretty heavily into journalistic writing. So I was used to writing 2 or 3 sentence paragraphs. But I think that makes it flow pretty well. But what I didn't like, it doesn't flow at all. There's some wording problems. There's like multiple sentences in a row that start with Grandia. Grandia. Like, that just kind of pokes out to the eyes. It also doesn't help that it's getting underlined by Microsoft Word. And then, yeah, just a lot of phrases are way too dorky to say out loud. Even though at that time I'm sure I said all that shit out loud. But still, you have to write in an informal way. A review should sound like your nerdy but cool and incredibly knowledgeable and maybe a little too enthusiastic friend is sitting down to tell you about a game you just asked them about. That's the dynamic that I feel. It's like when somebody clicks on a review, they want their friend to tell them what the game is. Like whether or not they should care, or if it's a game that I will like. So that's the tone that I have since tried to develop in reviews. And that's not very present here. This is more like a book report with a couple of jokes thrown in, which is kind of how I used to write reviews. So that's interesting. But yeah, based on this, I was allowed to be in the completely unpaid volunteer staff for Game Chew, which I don't think is... There's no way. I think they just didn't want to pay the hosting bill after a while. Yeah, it's just a big white page. I remember... Man, where is it? Yeah, weirdly, it's like right here. Sin Episodes Emergence was like one of the first... Like, after I was on staff, I'm trying to think of the other games that I reviewed, but yeah. You should change the category. I'm not going to be streaming for too much longer, but you're right. I should. I'm gonna basically wrap it up here. I don't know that I don't know that I'm gonna read this, but oh no. Oh shit. Oh, that's right. I zipped it all because it was huge. Christ. Maybe. It's in here. I think this is all the writing or a lot of the writing I did at Machinima. Fuck, look at all these old Inside Gaming scripts. Fuck. This is how much you have to do. Like, no one gave a shit who I was then. I was getting paid nothing. But fuck. Every day. Every fucking day. That's not even it either. There's... Actually... Okay, I don't know. I don't think there's anything privileged in here. Let me dig through some folders here and make sure before I start poking around and dox myself again. Some stuff I don't even know what it is. So there's all that. This stuff is a little bit older than that. I had an editorial series for a while. I wrote, I think this is like, yeah, 2007 to 2009, like 2 years, every week. Oh, these aren't so interesting. Oh, there's not that many. Developer Spotlight. Platinum Games. What the heck? Oh, yeah. I can't remember what I wrote this for. Ends in 2010. Jeez. GDC's Kojima keynote with HTML inserted. I remember that one. Yeah, I was like in the room snapping photos, went to back to my hotel, typed it all up, inserted all the photos, man. Nintendo's image, what? Headline, cut Nintendo some slack. What was I up to here? What was I up to? 2009? Oh, it must have been the Wii. Everybody was like yelling at him, maybe. Nintendo's position in today's gaming culture is unique. The company is tied to the first memories many players have for gaming, but at the same time, Nintendo is dedicated to drive innovation. This is like wanting to be the world's tallest midget. Jesus Christ. Paying homage to the past while offering new experiences is contradictory. However, recent DS releases Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story exemplifies the company's approach. What? During the game, the Mario Brothers encounter a group of ambulatory flytrap-looking plants called sock ops. These creatures exist to chug everything they see, while sucking into the moss on top of their heads. So naturally, one snares Luigi before passing out at the effort of chugging an entire human being. Once partially submerged in this green sock-looking creature, Luigi gains the ability to hop around and travel safely over spikes. An obscure reference to Kuribo's shoe, a rarely used power-up from Super Mario Bros. 3. Another sock op is even identified as Kuribo himself, just to eliminate fears of an accidental reference. And yet the game constantly strays into the bizarre and experimental. For some boss fights, Bowser grows... I think I might have been trying to rewrap a review of Bowser's Inside Story as an op-ed or something. And yet, the game constantly strays into the bizarre and experimental. For some boss fights, Bowser grows in size for Godzilla-esque battles against oversized opponents, complete with flaming breath and punches that send either combatants skidding back hundreds of feet. Very long sentence. I haven't played Disaster Report yet, Dead Trooper. I have it bought and down, because like... Or is it... No, it's Disaster Report. Yeah, Disaster Report 4 came out on PC, right? Is it supposed to be defensive Nintendo? I think so. One of the more eyebrow-raising sequences involves the Mario Brothers delivering a back massage to Bowser. Once the massage begins, two toads appear out of nowhere to inform the player that massages of this nature generally take a while, so the player should take a relaxing break from playing. The two toads then enjoy a cup of tea while the DS plays relaxing music for a few minutes. This isn't skippable. It's a forced break similar to Earthbound's coffee breaks. Again referencing Earthbound. Jesus Christ. Is this link still active? Hey! ...2008. Anyway, it's a cool sequence. The game simultaneously pays homage to Mario Bros. Legacy while offering something new and unique. This represents Nintendo's philosophy in microcosm. Alright, now we're going to get into it, right? The Nintendo Entertainment System tied Nintendo to the heritage of video games by becoming the first widely successful home console in America. That is not true. Like, the 2600 sold a lot. I guess I don't know what the ultimate sales were, but... This history is powerful, spawning a line of kitschy t-shirts, proclaiming one's status as old school or 8-bit, television shows based around early Nintendo games like Game Center CX. I think I just discovered that show. No, I think I found it in college. Anyway. And even comics like Scott Pilgrim and The Infinite Sadness. Wait, it was called The Infinite Sadness back then? That elevate Nintendo references to the mainstream. What? We can't click on this link? Just gonna... Oh, word. Alright. No, there we go. Why did you zoom out? At the same time, Nintendo's built the current status around innovation and shady business deals in the 80s, but that's for another column. The original Nintendo came with a panoply. Ooh, panoply of trinkets. Jesus Christ. Alright, Cloud Flare. Killed that. A panoply of trinkets. Where are we at? Lost my point. There we go. Let's set it apart from other consoles like Rob, Zapper, and PowerPad. The Wii extends this approach with motion controls, balance boards, and enough control extensions to form an impressive tangle of cords and white plastic. This puts the company in a delicate and contradictory position. Fans of the company simultaneously expect a celebration of their gaming past while clamoring for new experiences at the same time. This leads to confusing behavior in gaming culture. Those now critical of Nintendo for not releasing enough traditional games were bashing the company years before for releasing too many Mario spin-offs. Seems like an unwinnable prospect. How does the company appeal to old and new gamers at the same time? The company handles this position with remarkable aplomb. Services like Club Nintendo reward loyal customers with memorabilia free of charge. I still have some of that. I think I have a Pikmin like messenger bag. Even Club Nintendo's website celebrates the company's heritage with Mario's iconic hat as its logo and familiar coins used as the site's redeemable currency, though they have yet to make the reference complete and offer a heart transplant for 100 coins. A real G4 caliber joke there. On the game front, releases like Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks and Super Mario Galaxy 2 continue to provide the nostalgia-jogging gameplay that many gamers claim to want. At the same time, games like Wii Sports Resort and Wii Fit push concepts of video game limitations, if not their technical boundaries. Nintendo's recent patent, whatever the heck that is, for in-game walkthroughs and help videos demonstrate the company's willingness to explore new possibilities with games. Is this link still active? Oh, look at that. Hey, good for you, Gama Sutra. For some reason, it's fashionable to bash Nintendo. Perhaps it's a simple teenage rebellion. The Nintendo that gamers grew up with is now seen as nannying and lame. No, Nintendo, I don't like Mario anymore. I like Call of Duty now. Mario's so lame and God, just leave me alone. Despite the vitriolic clamoring of forum denizens and IRC chat logs. Boy, that's deep. Nintendo will continue doing what it has always done, making enjoyable games for players of all ages. Perhaps with enough perspective, more gamers can appreciate and respect the delicate path Nintendo must walk. All right. Took me way too long to get to the point, but I did eventually. Yeah, I remember, like, 2 years into the Wii's life cycle, there was just crazy negativity towards Nintendo. And it was just like, yeah, it was just a bunch of people was like, yeah, Call of Duty's the coolest game on the block. Nintendo, fuck that shit. And
you're listening to the RP Gamers Network Radio.
It's fun because I'm thinking about, oh man, hell yeah, Undertale. I'm thinking about how, not hours ago, I was sort of lamenting about the double standard that was apparent in how a lot of the media treated Cyberpunk. Kind of shades of that here. A lot of people in the media were like, Nintendo, Wii's stupid. I would delete that whole part about Bowser's Inside Story. Yeah, me too. Me too. That is burying the story big time. So, shouldn't have done that, but yeah. What is blog.txt? Oh no. Oh, yeah. That's not going to make a whole lot of sense. That would require quite a bit more. Ooh, a style guide. When did I write this? Hold on. Because this is going to get into basically all the things I was just ranting about. 2009. Okay, so I think I just become the reviews director for thegamereviews.com. There we go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, because I was the lead editor, so I would basically like look over everyone's reviews and kind of brush them up. So this stuff I had already been writing for years, and I think I probably still agree with most of this, but we'll find out. This will be the last one I read because I'm getting taken away with this stuff. And Malcolm, you were right. I totally should have. Here, I'll change it now. I'll change it now. Oops. I'll hit F1 and oop. And then I'll hit Control or Windows E instead of Control W. All right. Okay. All right. So there were just like repeated mistakes that I kept using time to fix, and I was like, this is not efficient. I can't keep like putting the training wheels back on for you guys. So I basically wrote a whole guide, and I'm thinking this may have not won me any favors because it was probably a little too insistent. That's the other thing. Diplomacy and tone is something I had to learn too. All right, I've looked over everyone's reviews for a few months now and seen several repeated mistakes. And in an effort to help you guys improve your writing, unify... Oh yeah, so already no one's going to want to read this because I've told them their writing is shit from the outset. Not good. In an effort to help you guys improve your writing, unify the style of our reviews, and most importantly, save me some time. Yeah. Here's a condensation of the most prevalent issues I've noted. Additionally, there is some philosophical stuff about reviews or at least what they are on the game reviews. Yeah, in order to not suck ass. As with anything in writing, style is situational. None of these suggestions, except in grammar, are ironclad, and there will always be times when you'll want to bend a rule to make an eloquent point. I can tell my verbiage is already getting more conversational from like 3 years ago. Basically, don't come through reviews I've written and call me on breaking this stuff. First off, the goal of your review. Yeah, it's got like Unicode or like BB code. A reader is going to read your review to learn what a game is like to play in order to make a purchasing decision. Your job is to tell them that and entertain them to keep them reading. Everything in your review should serve these purposes. If anything doesn't, down to the word, cut it out. Reviews must strike a balance between being well-written, entertaining, and informative. You're not writing a review to prove to the world that you know about video games or to earn scores of nerd fans. Writing concisely and directly will make you sound more intelligent than espousing the greatness of Battletoads when it doesn't fit. Probably could have been said a lot more kind, but that's 100% true. The average review will hit all the high points of the game in a holistic analysis of the game's relative quality and provide a final judgment. If you're familiar and bored of this style, I highly recommend you read this and come up with experimental ideas. Please tell me this is still here. Oh, nope. Gone. I wonder what that was. Old Lawrence was an ass. Yeah, I mean this. So in context, this was after months and months of working with individual writers that would submit writing to me that didn't even have spell check passed on it. Just just horrific basic grammar mistakes, and I was putting a lot of time into this. So yes, you can probably feel some of that resentment coming through here, because with a lot of individual writers, I was like, please stop doing this, and they would just keep doing it. And I was the editor, so I was like, they're not fucking listening to me, and they're wasting my time by submitting shit writing. So how long did it take you to write a review, playing the game to final review? Well, I mean, it depends on the game. And writing's a tricky thing. Sometimes it would just flow, sometimes it wouldn't. If I could sit down and I just got into a flow and everything just hit, I could maybe have a review draft in like an hour. If I already had notes and like had been thinking about it and just had all my thoughts collected and it was just putting it down on paper. But if I came in and there was like, I had all my notes and there was a deadline and I haven't had a whole lot of time to just have it kind of percolate in my head, then maybe like 2 to 3 hours just to write a first draft. Usually what I do is have a first draft, then go do something else, and then come back and proofread it. Go for a walk, play a game for a little bit, kind of let it get out of my mind, and then come back and read it again. And then I would submit it after a proofread. Okay, the reviews that break the mold but still serve the goals of review tend to generate a lot of traffic, so don't be afraid to pitch an experimental review. Nobody did. And as always, if you do disagree with this guiding ethos behind reviews, contact me and we'll chat it out. Nobody did. On to more stylistic concerns. I mean, I can't blame anyone for not contacting me because the tone is not friendly, despite me saying this is friendly. On to more stylistic concerns. All right. Not an ass. Writing in its cadence is not easy. Not an ass? Oh, no, it's not. Absolutely not. Oh, shit. Oh, this will warp you to another dimension. Holy shit. The introduction. Don't spell out the history of the series or make broad statements about video games, and especially don't ask the question your review is intended to answer. Can this game live up to the hype? That shit drove me fucking crazy. Everyone did that. Fuck. It's making me mad now thinking about it. Ugh. Introductions like these bore readers, and they will go to another page or after 2 sentences unless captivated. The best introduction will entertain, make a good point about the game, and most importantly, make a summarizing judgment about the game. Ooh. My Rhythm Heaven review is a good example. I don't think this website is still up. Oh, it is. It's just been restyled a million times over. By TGR staff, man, fuck you. Yeah, they took my name off of everything. Our hardly working team of in-house writers and some orphaned articles are associated with this user. Man, bullshit. Orphaned articles? Fuck off. No, they actually kicked me out of that website. I got fired from the game reviews. And they never told me why. There was an editor there who like how the best tag is 2010. Halo 4. Jeez. All I was told is that I had 3 strikes. And then I went to talk to the editor in chief. I was like, what's going on? And that dude was weird. Like, he just didn't like me from the drop. I don't know what it was. From the very first times we started talking, he was just really aloof and weird. And I remember we met up at E3 once and he just never made eye contact with me. He was always staring at the ground. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then one random day, I just got a call from the site owner being like, hey, we got to ask you to stop if that's cool. And I was like, what are you talking about? So that actually turned out to be pretty good. I was pissed off about it. But then I put the feelers out for more work, and then that led to machinima. So fuck you, thegamereviews.com. Anyway. Okay, wiggle words. This is the biggest problem. The tendency to use indirect or soft language to avoid committing too strongly to anything. The sound is mostly bad. The controls are very good, largely functioning well. These can be much more directly stated by saying, the sound is bad, and the controls function well. Direct statements make judgments sound more authoritative and informed. I remember actually really getting into it with a particular writer because I took a lot of those wiggle words out, and it actually made the writer really uncomfortable to be so firm with their wording. And I'm like, why are you fucking writing if you're not confident in what you're saying? Blech. I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. I said it in better words. Ideally, the writer would also... Oh, hold on, this is a little loud. There we go. Ideally, the writer would also work in substantiating information, such as horrible voice acting drags the sound, or lightning quick response time puts the player in direct control. Brevity. Use as few words as possible to convey your point. A review should top out at 1,000 words, occasionally needing more, but ideally less. Only hit the high and low points. Generally, if something is average, not mentioning it at all will convey the point. Find ways to reconstruct sentences to make them shorter. These are all issues I deal with in my students' papers. They write an entire argument that never takes a stand on anything. Because no one wants to do that. You don't... It's easy to not put any skin in the game. This is why most gaming news just cites other articles instead of doing any research or saying anything interesting. Second person, don't use it. You only... And I like how the next word is you. You only ever want to use it when writing a letter to someone you know. In a review, the writer doesn't know the reader, nor does he or she know anything about the reader. Instead of saying you will like this, say players will like this. It makes writers sound more professional and authoritative. You is more acceptable in features or editorials that can get away with a flippant tone. References to other games. Use only if deserved, but keep referencing to a minimum and only when supported with information that players ignorant of the referenced game can use. Game Y sports a control scheme similar to last year's Game X, and that the right trigger makes you cook a pancake while the left prepares the syrup. Throwing out too many references turns a review into cluttered name dropping, and it doesn't make a strong point. Passive voice. And this is just like high school writing. Eliminating passive voice makes sentence tighter and punchier. Often this will necessitate turning the original subject into a direct object. The graphics are muddy becomes drab, textures muddy the graphics. Generally, passive voice is an opportunity to provide more information. And then grammar. Serial comma, punctuation, parentheses, it's, gameplay, PlayStation, iPod, italicize all game titles. Because yeah, people were getting it's and they're wrong. People who wanted to be writers. That to me, that stuff was okay, you don't give a shit about the writing. You just want whatever's at the end of this road. I don't know. You want a staff position on a website. But and that's what was weird to me too, is I was like, I am doing this to get you to your goal. I'm doing this to make you a better writer. That smiley face after please. So, looking at it now, it's not shocking to me that didn't go over well. Or I presume it didn't go over well. But still, the people... There were good people I wrote with there. I don't want to make it sound like it was all bad people. It wasn't. But there were just a lot of people who just didn't care. Just didn't care and had no interest in caring. Just not a thing. That might have a... I want to look at this. Oh! I want to make sure it doesn't have personal information on it. So now I'm covering it up. This is my business card from the game reviews, because business cards mattered at one point. Photoshop's loading. I guess I could just put something over it if... Oh, wait a minute. Wait, for real? Never mind. That's the back. Okay. God, brushed steel. So cool. What about this one? Oh! I have the consulting agreement. My original contracting consulting agreement from Machinima. Wow. Okay, yeah, that actually has my phone number on it. Close that. IG style. How many style guides did I write? Oh, yeah. This is interesting. This style guide is a lot less aggressive. Jesus Christ. I'll have to check that. I'll have to read that later. There's a lot in here, huh? Hold on a minute. Well, Machinima doesn't fucking exist anymore. But I'm curious. Let me scroll through this and make sure that there's nothing on it that looks bad. Because this was effectively what allowed me to this I saved this specifically because this was the break-even point. This is when I was finally able to pay my rent. Well, no, wait, it wasn't quite there yet, but it was close. God. This is such a basic... God, this is such a basic contract. Wasn't it all the predatory shit that came up later? It's got my old address on it, and it's got Machinima's old address on it, but who cares? Actually, my old address might be used to identify me. Well, there it is. It's out now. Yeah. Content creator, May 11th, 2010. Jesus. 11 years ago. But yeah, this was... Machinima was launching a blog because they wanted to get on Metacritic. I don't know why. But this is the real shit right here. Consultants shall receive a flat fee of $100 for each day of editorial coverage consisting of 10 or more posts per day over 5 days. Yeah, so I got $100 a day to write 10 news posts. This was the one where I was finally able to pay my rent with it. So awesome. So awesome. I liked how it said, consultant's fee shall be paid within 15 business days of company receiving consultant's invoice. That shit did not happen. Machinima was horrible about paying. I mean, granted, most companies are horrible about paying contractors, but... yeah, it's a shockingly, like, straightforward, contract. I don't know, maybe there's something in there. How long did it take you to write 10 news stories? It depended what the news stories were. It depended how in-depth they were. We're going to go out on this right here. That's an awesome milestone. Makes sense to save. Yeah, I saved a lot of stuff from back then. It's easy to save digital things. You just throw them in a folder and forget about them. Like, it doesn't take up room anywhere. It's great. And like as storage grows, the things that used to take up an amount of space just become utterly trivial. So good stuff. All right. I meant to play Beatmania, but it got too late again. I swear to God, I'm going to play Beatmania one of these days. I'm going to be back tomorrow with THC Tuesday. THC Tuesday. I think I'm going to play, I have, what is it? I keep wanting to call it Gods and Monsters. That's not what it's called. Phoenix Rising. Immortals Phoenix Rising. There we go. That's actually a pretty cool game and kind of has like weed vibes around it, believe it or not. There's some weird like stoner humor in that game. So I'm looking forward to it. Crack into something that's not cyberpunk for a second. Would you ever convert those to plain text for archive or search purposes? I can't... That would be like a passing... I feel like that would be a passing thing for some people to dig through, but it would be a fair amount of work for me, and I'd have to dig through them all to make sure that there's nothing problematic. So, you know, if I made an edgy joke in the late 2000s, and I publish it with my name on it, and it's there on the internet, and people can screenshot it or find it, not that the mob's coming after me or anything, or that they would have any reason to, but that's just something to think about, you know? Yeah. If it's on the internet, it's got your name on it, you got to make sure that, like, it's future-proof. And I don't know that a lot of the writing I did back then is. Because the world back then wasn't future-proof. Just the way it goes. Yeah, I'm going to have to redact something. I'm going to have to hit it with the old marker. I think this is probably a better way to do it. Also, like, if I hit things that are a little edgy, then it just goes over better if I can react to it and be like, oh, I wouldn't, like, I'd find something much more tasteful to say now. As opposed to it sitting in a void where people can create whatever narrative around that they want. CM Anderson, thank you for the sub. Yeah, cancel culture, stay away. But thank you guys for watching. I think that'll do it for tonight. I do enjoy going into the closet now and then. If truly, though, I think what I hope to illustrate is that bullying your way into a crowded space takes time, and it takes a lot of effort. And a lot of that time and effort is going to fall into a void. No one's going to watch, and no one's going to know. You'll know, but you know there is no achievement without sacrifice. And the extra problem is I don't want to make it sound like all you have to do is sacrifice, and like achievement will come to you. That's the other trick. So you have to sacrifice and hope. You have to sacrifice and pray. Sometimes it works out, but I can't promise it will. However, I do hope that somewhere in there is a small amount of motivation, or I don't even know if that's what I'm trying to do. Just trying to be honest, you know? I feel like everyone should have as much information as they can when it comes to planning your life or trying to attain goals. That's it. if anything about my past can inform anyone else's present and future, that's great. And it costs me nothing to share that. I mean, to that point, yeah, posting them all might help too, but I'm going to be a little careful about that. But yeah, maybe I'll circle back around to this and do it more in the future. But all right, that'll do it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for enduring my rambling. Thank you for sharing these memories with me. I realized that I actually have a pretty good memory. I just need something to kind of connect to it and jog it all. Now I'm thinking about my apartment that I lived in back then. That was an awesome place. I'm in downtown Dallas in a big building. I got to live my metropolitan dreams. All right, I'm doing it again. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Spleef in the Keef and playing video games. So think of your best existential questions to blow my mind with. The deepest thoughts. There's going to be a lot of them tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.